We slowly start. Okay, so hello to everyone who's with us on Zoom and who is watching this book. I would like to first of all introduce you our dear. She's Professor at University of Economics, Professor Irene Nikandrou, who is one of the valuable coaches within our talent. And the goal of this project is launch program in human resource management and talent. And hopefully soon in we will be starting to teaching the students special project. So in case you're interested in learning more, you have our details, so contact us. And I would like just to say thank you very much for your support, Irene. And I am providing you the stage. Please.
Okay. Thank you very much, Saikal. I'm really honored to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation. I really enjoyed our collaboration in Athens back in February, just before the Corona pandemic, but we were really happy that we did this. And I'm really glad I can join you today. We will discuss today a little bit the changing context and the new roles of HR professionals. I think that this is a fascinating challenge for the HR profession, and we need to understand much more than in the past the context and how it changes. I mean, there are a lot of factors influencing our profession. So let me start with our agenda. So we will warm up a little bit. Actually, the neurologists, the science, of the brain tells us that we need some time to adjust when we hear something, when we teach, we need some time to adjust for our brain to absorb things. So we need to warm up a little bit. So we will start by focusing, and that's really important for me. We start by focusing on the need for a systematic approach in our knowledge, in our research, and in our HR practices. Then I will briefly discuss the new HR professional map. This is actually the CIPD new framework for the HR profession. I will briefly discuss that, and we will move on to our main, let's say, subject, which is this changing context and the role of HR. And I will briefly also discuss some implications for HR of the pandemic for the HR. And I conclude by giving you, let's say, a framework of skills development for a positive approach to managing people. Because in my opinion, and this is where I am right now, this positive approach is really a must. We live in a world full of uncertainty, ambiguity, change, and we need to have an attitude toward our life, actually, to a more positive, let's say, lens approach. So let's begin. This is an exercise for you. So in what you see, there are 60 numbers from 1 to 60. So I will have 1 minute for you, and you will try to, you can point with your finger. This is 1. Oh, I have found 1. 2, 3, 4. So consecutively, you will see how many numbers you can find in 1 minute. Yes? Okay, let's start. Okay, time is up. How many numbers have you? Okay, so actually that's fine, Saikal. The average person finds 12, 10 to 12, let's say, numbers. It's a difficult task, believe me. If I ask you, to describe what you have just experienced, you could say, oh, this, what is this? This is chaotic. There is no order. It's really difficult. It's stressful because you ask us in a short period of time, in 1 minute, to identify, to find out all these 60 numbers. And there are different shapes, different shades, different sizes, different colors there. There is no straight lines. So there are all these factors that that make this really hard and difficult. Yes, this is chaotic, you say. So I will come back a little bit later, but this is how we, this is our life. I mean, we are bombarded with so many information, different information, and we do not have all the time in our disposition to find things out. So we need to find ways to systematize our approach to things. Yes? And let me give you, just before giving you the clue, the answer to this, let me start by saying that there was a point in time, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, starting from our own Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, the teacher of Alexander the Great, who knew everything. I mean, they were these wise persons. So Aristotle was one, then Leonardo da Vinci, a mathematician, an architect, an inventor, you can name, he knew everything. Sir Francis Bacon, again a philosopher and statesman. Immanuel Kant, a great philosopher. Sociologist and philosopher Max Weber, and you can name some others. So some years ago, there were people who were supposed to know everything. Can you imagine right now anyone knowing everything? No way. This is not something we can replicate in the 21st century. Yes. So some more facts based on the Singularity University and the work of Fuller in his classic text, Critical Path. There is this phenomenon, the knowledge doubling curve. So what this means that the quantity of available knowledge doubles and as time, let's say, moves on, this doubling of knowledge is accelerating. So from year 1 till 1900, for knowledge to double, we needed approximately 100 years. So every 100 years, knowledge doubled. From the World War II, and then the knowledge doubled every 25 years. Since 2001, knowledge doubles every 13 months. And scientists say that in the near future, knowledge will double in less than 12 hours. So can you imagine how much knowledge is created every day? So the acceleration of knowledge is enormous, is huge. And when we are seeing all these facts, we are so stressed. I mean, how can I deal with all this information? What information is reliable and what is not? How can I make decision based on what information? So people go crazy because we hear all these researches, one contradicting the other. and we don't know how we base our decisions. So this is a true, let's say, dilemma. And right now, we may not have one person or few persons knowing everything, but we do have all of us having access to knowledge very easily. No one of those persons, Aristotle, Da Vinci, Weber, or Kant, could imagine the amount of knowledge that we needed, you know, and we have in our fingers, let's say. So what we need, so again, one more fact. In 1665, we had only 2 journals, scholarly journals in England. In 2009, how many? We had 1,500,000 journals. How many published articles since this modest start of 2 journals? Now we have over 50 million of published articles. So you understand this vast amount of knowledge. So what we need right now in all this huge terrain, we need to systematize our way of seeing things. So by going back to our activity, first activity, if you draw 2 vertical lines and 2 horizontal lines, as I have here, you can see that in the upper left, let's say rectangle, you can find 1. Next in the middle is 2. 3 in the third. 4 is in the left in the middle. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and again from the beginning, 10, 11, 12. So if I start again counting, you will need less than 1 minute to find all 60 numbers. So what is our, let's say, conclusion from this exercise, and what is our goal in HR? Is to systematize all this knowledge we have. What seems chaotic, what seems huge, we as HR need to find out what are the best systems, the best practices we need to put together for our company, for our employees to work and not be, you know, overwhelmed with works and all these things. So our job, and in our master's program, our job is to equip our people, our students, with all this knowledge on how to bring together all these HR systems based on who we are as a company, who our people are, what is the level of our expertise. So we need to identify the patterns that will help our people be at their best, blossom and develop. That's important. And having said that, so are we warmed up enough? Okay, let's go to our CIPD professional map. So the CIPD, this is a new, fresh, this is 2018 or 19 framework, starts with the purpose. So in the middle, this purple circle, you see, it's like an onion, let's say. So in the middle, at the core, there is the purpose. So as HR, we have to find out what is our purpose. And our purpose is to create better work and working lives. And believe me, this is easier said than done. It's easier to say we create better work and better lives. But as you will see, there are very big, let's say, challenges in front of us. And this is not an easy task, believe me. So you need to identify what helps people get their best, how we deliver great organizational outcomes, because as HRs, we have been accused, you know, that we don't produce outcomes. We create an HR system, but we cannot, it's not like, let's say, sales, that they go out there and bring customers in. We create a system, and the results of the system will be, let's say, measured at least after a year or 2 years. So we need some time to see the results of our work. So we have to be patient, we have to be consistent, we have to be alert and see what is best for our people and our organization. The best, even if you have the best strategy, if you don't understand that it is people who will deliver the results, that will implement this strategy, then the best strategy, the best technology means nothing. So it's important for this reason, it's important that we base all our work on principles. And because of this turbulence, change, uncertainty, ambiguity, I said, principles are our constant, let's say. So we need to understand that work matters. When now we are interviewing our students for our master's program in HR, and we ask them, you know, why do you want to become an HR? And they say, because we love people. And HR loves people if the HR person understands the work. We are not there for them to come and cry and say their complaints. Yes, they can do this, but we are there to help them with their work. So we must understand the work. And this is one of the reasons HR is not part of the strategy now, because people, HR people do not talk numbers, or we think that we are people centered. So we don't need to understand numbers. No, that's wrong. We need to understand the business. We need to talk business. We need to talk finances. We need to understand the whole context. So the work matters and people matter. And it's not work or people, it's both. And our profession matters. So we need to show to the people that we are professionals. In an Academy of Management at the United States, the big conference is the Academy of Management every year. So a few years ago, they were giving an HR award to the vice president of IBM, responsible for the HR. And he said, you know, that he once was in a golf terrain, playing golf, and people, you know, approached him, and when they found out that he was an IBM vice president, they all wanted to come to him. And then when they found out that he was in the HR, then things were not as good, because people don't think that HR know business, and this has to change. So this is important for you as a new program, you know, to have this culture and tell people that HR must know the business in order for us to help people and help the profession to grow and show that, yes, we can add value to the company. So it's principles based, it's evidence based. So we need, as I said, we need to provide evidence. We need to provide hard facts, not only hard facts. We need to show them to the people that we understand human behavior, we understand academic research, we can utilize employee surveys, benchmarks, in order to understand our organization. We need to understand analytics, business analytics, people analytics, in order to see how we can contribute to business performance. So business performance is our goal, and we believe that we can achieve and help business performance through people. So we are not a burden, because many line managers say HR is a burden. They design fancy systems, but this is not fancy systems. These are tools to make the work of line manager easier. If this is not something that makes your work easier, then it's useless. You see? So it's important for us to show evidence and measure our things. So it's outcomes driven. So measure our work and provide evidence that yes, we add value personally and socially, because now businesses are also socially driven. So we have ethical responsibilities towards the communities we are operating. Okay, so this is also important. And then core knowledge, core behavior, specialist knowledge. If you go in there, you will find what is needed. As core knowledge, you must know people practices, the HR systems. You must understand culture, culture in a systemic way. It's the culture of the country, it's the culture of the sector, it's the culture of the business, it's the culture of the unit. It's the culture of different cultures around the world. So it's not just one culture. It's a systemic, let's say, approach. So we need to understand culture. We need to understand behavior. As I said, business acumen. We need to know what is our business, what business we are in. Analytics, how we create value, digital working. I'm going to discuss a little bit that. And change. The only constant thing is that we are changing. So change must be incorporated in our curriculum, in our work. So I will not go into other details. So this is the core knowledge. I will concentrate on this business terrain so that we can analyze a little bit more the context. So we need to understand the new business environment, the new business context. So before, the business terrain was based, the emphasis was on integration, both horizontal and vertical, mainly vertical because the big companies wanted to create environments. They wanted to have control over everything. So they were going backwards and onwards to have control over the production, the supply chain, all along the different steps from the production to the customer. So we wanted big independent empires who had few external collaborations. So they were, let's say, self-serving. They were big, mechanistic, hierarchical companies. Nowadays, with the internet, the stock markets, the global environment, you can see what happens now with the corona. We had started in China and now it's all over the world. So now this is the new reality. So now the business terrain needs another approach. Now we cannot talk about, we still have big empires, don't misunderstand me, but now the emphasis is on core activities. What is our competitive advantage? And our competitive advantage is based on our core capabilities. So we need to identify what are core activities, then outsource what is not our main interest, and start collaborating even with our competitors. So collaboration is the new word. And now, previously, we have this big hierarchical pyramids, this mechanistic. Now we say we have more organic structures. We have inverted pyramids, meaning that we have new employees coming into the workforce, into the companies, and they have skills, knowledge, and they want to have a say in the company. So we need to have, we have to give them more power to be more autonomous. We need flexibility in order for us to take advantage of the emergent, let's say, opportunities. of opportunities as they emerge, we need to be flexible, and we need to have teams that can go there and solve their problems. If you expect an employee to solve a problem after they have gone up all the hierarchy, then there is no an opportunity anymore. So we need to have employees empowered at the baseline. So it's a new philosophy of approaching things now. And having said that, this is, let's say, the basis, the basic thing. I will discuss two of the 5 forces. Linda Gratton is a professor at the London Business School. She mentions at her work, the shift, the future of work is already here. So we need to understand these 5 forces. And she says that if we analyze the environment, the business environment, as it is right now, we may not see the signs as predominant, but there are signs here that can help us understand what will happen in the future. And we can do that by analyzing these 5 forces: technology, globalization, demographics and longevity, society in general, and energy resources. These are the 5 most important forces we need to understand. So we need to understand how do these forces influence the work environment, and we need to understand what is our role as HR to help companies deal with these forces. In this presentation, I will focus on technology and demographics and the role of HR. So just to make a small connections, in the top 10 best performing companies of the CEO World Magazine, we have 2 companies from Asia, from China. This is Alibaba, yes, and the other one is Tencent Holdings. So these are big mega corporations based in China. Of course, there are many more companies in Asia. We need to understand, and as a Central Asian European university, you need to understand your regional, let's say. China and India are the new hotspots in the economy, and you need to understand this. Of course, we need to understand Latin America, Brazil, US, Australia, Europe, whatever, because we know from theory of chaos that a butterfly in Amazonas can create a tsunami in Asia. We know that. So we need to understand the global terrain, but first of all, we need to understand our region, and it is important. But these are technological. These are companies based on technology. And technology, as I said from the beginning, is a big part of our world. Without technology, I was not going to be here today with you. Yes. So if you look back in 1991, maybe when some of you were just born, we only had one website. In 2019, we have over 1 billion websites and 180 quadrillion pages of content. So see, everyone can have its own website, its own page, whatever, yes. Actually, we do have new jobs based on influencers, on YouTube, on Instagram, on having their own web page, their own site, whatever. So, Facebook. I mean, we are now on Facebook live. We have 2.3 billion active users every month. We have 5 new profiles created every second. So this is a powerful platform. HR should understand how people communicate through social media, through platforms. Facebook is one. Facebook actually is for a little bit older, let's say, target group, but still, an employee who is dissatisfied can upload an information using a fake profile for the company, and they can create instantly a crisis management. As HR professionals, as HR, we can hire people and see what is their activity in the social media. What do they upload in Facebook? What do they, how they use chat, tweet? How do they, their profile in LinkedIn? Actually, LinkedIn is a very powerful machine for the work environment. Yeah, you are constantly connected through LinkedIn. Big HR, big companies and HR professionals have people analytics. They know where talents are, where skills are in their region, and they can make projections for the next, let's say, 2, 3, even 5 years, and see how they can attract through LinkedIn, through social media, the right talent. So it's attract them. How do we retain them? How do we remunerate them? So it's all these social media are really powerful, and they are changing the way we are doing our work. So Facebook, 6,000 tweets per second. So what is tweeted in there? YouTube, 5 million views per day. We do have, as I say, new jobs. We have influencers. We have YouTube channels. So all these are ways through which people communicate. As you see, more than 1,300,000,000 users in YouTube. How emails have changed the way we work. So there are some days my program is so overloaded that I say, oh my God, I don't want to open my mail because I have to reply to these people. So we need to understand that sometime in our work, we have to deal with emails, coming emails, sending emails, 205 billion emails every day. So this is huge work. We have to understand and incorporate in our work. And now the gig economy. The gig economy is, I don't know if you are familiar with the word. The gig economy is something really new and big. So we have crowd work, and there are different types of works in the gig economy. We need to understand. We have crowd work. This is work executed through online platforms that connect on a global scale an indefinite number of organizations, businesses, individuals through the internet. And so one company wants a logo, wants a website, they go and they hire someone through internet without, through this crowd posting. So this is one kind of work. Another one is the app work. App work involves connecting users with providers who personally deliver work on a more direct and localized basis. UBER, the Deliveroo. So these are people who are part of a bigger organization, Uber, but they, at the same time, they are independent contractors. So they are not employees of the company, even though they are working exclusively for the company. So making extra money, 55% say that they are working in the gig economy because they want to make extra money. 48% because they want to balance career and family needs. This is something we need to take into account really seriously in HR. 48% because they want autonomy and control of their work, especially young people in the computer science. That's what they say. I don't want, I want to be an independent contractor. 22% because this is the only way to make an income, and 19% because I want to find a better job, but in the meanwhile, I earn something through gig economy. So all these platforms, all these applications have changed the way we are doing work. So with technology and technological innovations, we have changing the work and the way we are doing work, and technology has a tremendous impact on the way we are doing things. Technology increases social participation, and this is good news, but there are also some problems because, as I said, something bothers an individual, they can go to the Facebook or to whatever platform, say something, and a crisis can happen just like that. So social participation is good, but we have to be alert and be really close. Technology increases the productivity. We have many resources, but at the same time, as I mentioned in the beginning, there is an overload. And so we have to have gatekeepers for people, because otherwise people are overwhelmed. They are so stressed that they cannot work. They are paralyzed. If I have so much to absorb, then I cannot move. How can I decide with all these things, with all this fear? There is so much fear going on, with all these technological advances. So we need to have a culture and a mindset. So we need to build a culture based on the technology. We need to improve our collaboration. We need to deal with different kind of teamwork. We do not collaborate physically, but I am in Greece, you are in Kyrgyzstan, you are, 2 hours ahead of us, but if we are collaborating with someone in Los Angeles, then they are 10 hours behind us. And we have to understand the cultural differences, the cultural approaches. So this is difficult work. And with the technology, we do have mega companies, but we do have micro entrepreneurs. Here, you must think of Silicon Valley, Microsoft, Google, all big technological corporations are there, but there are also small startups that create the innovation that the big companies then buy and implement. So we do have different ways of creating, let's say, communities where we do have big companies with micro entrepreneurs. Silicon Valley is one thing. On the East Coast, Boston is a medical center, so all big pharmaceuticals and stuff are there. So we do have big pharmaceutical companies, big health centers, but we also have small micro entrepreneurs who are flexible and take advantage, of the small size to create innovation. So it's important to understand the different logic. And again, there is this knowledge transfer, but we need to be careful what to adopt. We cannot adapt everything. We need to adapt something that is relevant to our core activities. And HR has a lot to do with this. So let's see here what Jeff Bezos, the Amazon CEO, said. Before the internet, it would be really difficult to find someone, sit them down for 10 minutes and get them to work for you, and then fire them after those 10 minutes. So you see what he's talking about? He's talking about HR in 10 minutes. Hire someone, work with someone, and fire someone in 10 minutes. So that's gig economy. But with technology, you can actually find them, pay them a tiny amount of money, and then get rid of them when you don't need them. So you understand the philosophy. And now, if you are in a company, yes, you can have this kind of let's say, of independent contractors who will work for you for a very short period of time. But you still need employees who will be full-time, or employees who will be part-time, or employees who will work remotely. And if they hear you say that, how will they feel? How then I, as an HR person, say, how am I going to engage these persons if they feel that they are, usable, disposable? We can use them and then throw them. And then the buzzword is engage employees, empower employees. How can we do that? So these are difficult tasks. This is not easy. This is not at all easy, as you can understand. And I will give you more challenges to that. So these are basic, let's say, things for HR. We need to understand and we need to train people to work with other people from different places, at different time zones, create virtual teams, understand different cultures, communicate cross-culturally. This is one thing. The big thing is, as I said, employee empowerment and engagement. And technology creates a big challenge for this. Training requirements, technology changes the training requirements. We don't need physical presence. We do have e-learning programs. Actually, we know now that we need a blend of e-learning and physical presence, but we do have training programs based on technology. We need also to train different skills to the people. Again, how we remunerate the amount of wages. Remember what Bezos said, a tiny little amount of money. What are the benefits? To whom? And of course, you need to read the McKinsey report on the automation. New jobs, we don't know which jobs will be affected, but we know that all jobs, even the job of a CEO, will be reduced by at least 30%. This is not bad because we may have more time, but this has to do with the wages and benefits and for whom. So we need to see these new things that are coming. We have to be careful, open eyes and ears and all our feelings, all our senses to understand what's there, because a lot of things are changing. Okay, so let me briefly say a few things. Actually, I will show you some of them. We created here in Greece an HR case, let's say, newsletter for the HR persons to know how they handle the pandemic, but I will also show you some of the slides. You can find them. I will send to Saikal the slides, and you can see the CIPD. They do have webinars on the pandemic. And you can also see there some suggestions on how to handle things. So some of the facts is that, yes, companies will hire less from now on. So we will have higher unemployment rates, and especially for young people and women. These are the two most vulnerable, let's say, categories. We have a downward pressure on wages, since this is a global, let's say, crisis. This will put additional pressure on the wages. Virtual recruitment, as we have virtual classes, virtual recruitment. So prepare your CVs, your presentation on YouTube, send, make a synchronous or asynchronous, let's say, recruitment. Actually, the pandemic was an opportunity for many people who were illiterate in online classes or online using online tools to really quickly adapt to this new, let's say, reality. There is a greater need to work remotely from home. And as HR, we have a big opportunity to provide, to train people how to work remotely, how to take care of our work environment, because HR may or the company may feel that, okay, people are at home and they relax and they don't do their work, while actually the pressure is much higher, because people have to balance their family. If I have children and children have to participate in their online, let's say, courses, and I do have a class meeting and the internet is not so stable, you understand the pressure the person has. And actually, the data show that people are much more stressed, and they put a lot of effort. We are much more tired when we are doing this kind of work. And so HR has to comfort, let's say, employees. We can give them some of the techniques, the Pomodoro techniques, to relieve the stress. So work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. So we have different techniques. We can teach, let's say, we can train our employees on how to remote, to work from their home, distant from distance. So, and this is going to be the reality in the future. I mean, even if we go back to our work, there will be a reduced need for physical workplace presence. You understand? So there will be a blend, a mix. And as HR, we need to provide systems that will support both. We need to understand the skills for the future, and this is something as I'm telling you. And of course, if we are in a situation, as I described you, very stressful, we need to create a culture of positivity. And this does not mean that we are up in our pink, let's say, cloud, but positivity means that we face the challenges, we acknowledge our fears, all our emotions, whether we are angry or tired or how we are, we deal with this and we see what can we learn from this. So this is the culture of positivity and trust. This is really, really hard, because we cannot talk about firing a person within 10 minutes and then building trust. And it's not what happens in this one person, is what happens to the persons that watch you doing this. Then I say, okay, this may happen to me as well, so I cannot trust you. You see? So that's why I'm going to talk about holistic approach to training. Saikal, are we okay? If we are not, just to tell me, Irene, make it short, whatever.
Maybe more, 10 minutes. And then
Yeah, okay, fine. 10 minutes are fine. Okay, so these are for the CIPD. I give you here the full reference. And as you can see, the labor market before the coronavirus, this light blue line here, the employment was rising just before January, March 2020. In the UK, the statistics look pretty okay. with women less employed than men, but still there was an increase in employment rates in the UK after the coronavirus. You can see, especially the private sector, this is -9, and in total -4. So you see how this spring 2020, there is a sharp decrease in the labor market after the coronavirus. So this decrease, this high unemployment rate, create a lot of uncertainty we need to deal with. A lot of pressure for us in HR. So this was part of our discussion on the technology, and some of the things we need also to take into account is the demographic and societal changes. So at this point, we have 4 generational groups in our workplaces. We have boomers, Xers, Yers, and Zers, and HR needs to understand the different needs and address the different needs of each generation group. How do we form groups of different generations? So it's not only technology, but it's also generations that creates problems with inclusion. Longevity, again, is another thing. We have another sector coming because people are working, are retiring much older. So what do we do if we have high unemployment rates? What do we do with older people? So that's another thing. Who are healthy, or who have different needs also. So global mobility, in terms of career and career paths, global mobility is a big issue. So we do have the concept of boundaryless career. Boundaryless career means that I can physically move and be around the globe and be psychological ready to be mobile. So we do have both things. So mobility is another thing. And here we do have 2 issues. One is mobility for improving and for accelerating our career. So we want to go abroad because this will make good to our CV. The other thing is that we have mobility because of other factors. So we have immigrants, we have refugees that have to be incorporated into the new cultures. So, and we can expect one of the forces, we will not discuss it right now, but one of the forces that Graton mentioned is that due to the changes in the environment, what we have done with the environment, we can expect big disasters. Tornadoes, tsunamis, we can expect disasters due to wars. So we do have immigrants and refugees who need to move and find other places, and we need to incorporate this to new environments. So as HR, if we hire someone, an immigrant, a refugee, what is the level of skills? How do we include them in our, so diversity management is important. And it's not important only for, in order to be more creative, but because we need to work with people from different cultures and age and religion, all kinds of diversity. Changing family structures, that's a big change. So we do have families with one parent. So here in Greece, if I am the mother and I have 2 children and I have to work, how can I support my children during the corona pandemic? So the state had to subsidize those either women or men had to stay at home with their children. But we do have different family structures we have to take into account. Yes, and we need to have a balance. And as HR, we do have take care for our employees' families. And we do create activities, events for families, and it's important. And of course, the role of women. Women have the burden, and we need to help them move up, because if you see, the HR is a female, let's say, profession, because it's soft, but it's not as soft as you can think, because of all these challenges. So there are additional, let's say, pressures for women, not only in HR, in all domains, let's say. Okay, and let me conclude with this framework I was telling you about. This is about the skills in a new framework of positive approach. So the positive management approach needs to address the issue of complexity. So what I have described to you up to now is that we cannot talk about linearity, about causality. These are the causes. I have identified 5 causes, and this will produce this result. Things are really complex. So it's not what Jeff Bezos will do to this one person. It's what will happen to all the others that hear, listen, watch him doing this stuff. I mean, how do you feel right now, knowing that he has said that? So things are complex. And so we need to develop an integrative and holistic thinking. So this is a very difficult thing. So when you design something, you have to see what are the connections. You have to see the whole, not just your business, your sector, your region, your competitors, your collaborations, your employees, their families, the whole, you understand? So you have to see the whole picture. So we need to be integrative and holistic. The second sign, which is again really important, is we must learn how to form communities. As a new domain, HR in Central Asia, you need to form a community of HR. I'm glad that we are part of this community and we help each other. And community is, as a skill, we need to develop high quality connections, not actually relationships. If you are more interested in that, the University of Michigan, the Center of Positive Organizations, and Professor Dutton is doing an excellent job on how we develop high quality connections. We don't need to build relationship over time. At the work, we don't have this, let's say, luxury. But we need to be there and connect with the other persons. This is good for our brain. If you make connections with other people, your brain will never get old. So try and connect with other people through reciprocal relationship connections, and this gives us vitality, this gives us energy, high quality connections, and this will bring us a relationship if we can establish trust. So we talked about positivity and trust. On this environment, this is really hard, this is difficult. So community is important. The third sign of transformation is innovation. Of course, this is something we all discuss. The thing is that if we want innovation, innovative people, let's say, challenge the status quo, do breakthroughs, yes? For them to take the risk and innovate, make the breakthrough, they need to feel safe. if you have an HR system that creates pressure, that creates demands for people to produce results, and then you say we want them to innovate, then you have failed. Because people innovate only if they are allowed to fail again and again and again. They must feel safe that they will not, see the door if they fail. So it's important for people to innovate and make something radical. They must have, this is the oxymoron, they must have the safety. So we have to provide that. The fourth sign is spirituality. And what spirituality means, spirituality can mean a lot of things, but spirituality means being present, being here and now, being mindful. If I start worrying about the second wave of coronavirus, what will happen in the next few months, then I lose what happens now. So stop worrying about what happens in the future. Yes, of course, we plan, we project, we analyze, we see the trends, but we focus on the here and now. What is important for us? What is meaningful to us? So this is the other thing. And as you see, all these are interconnected. Because if I want high quality connections, I'm here with you as a whole person. I don't worry what happens next. I don't worry what happened before. Because if I start worrying about what happens next, what will happen before, then I'm not here as a whole person. Then I cannot connect with you. If I can connect with you, it is because I feel that all of me is here with you now. And this is important. The fifth sign is flexibility. We need to be flexible. So agile, resilient, flexible. All these are skills we need to develop. In order to do that, we need, again, this buzzword, empowerment, engagement, empowerment, trust, you see. For people to be empowered, we need individual attention and customization. So we must have our HR systems, but within this system, we must allow for flexibility, because not all people are the same, not all people have the same needs. If I am an Xer, I have different needs from a Zer. If I am in Kazakhstan, in Kyrgyzstan, I have a different need from a person in Europe or whatever. So there are different needs, and I need to address these needs individually. And finally, this positivity. We need to, as I said, create a mindset of positivity. And this means that we are ready to learn in whatever environment we are. This is a challenge. I'm not paralyzed. I'm seeing in this difficult time, what can I learn? This is a nurturing attitude. I don't see the negative and give emphasis to the negative, so that, I fear, and then if I cultivate all this fear, then we cannot do anything. I mean, we stay like that. But I see, okay, I fear. I know that I fear. What is my next step? What can I do holding my fear? I can do something. What do I learn from this fear that I can use it in another situation? So I think that this is my presentation. Thank you for listening. It was great being with you. So if you want, we can discuss whatever you like.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Irene.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you very much.
I'm really glad I'm seeing you.
I'm glad to see you again, Irene.
I'm happy to see you, and I'm really disappointed that I could not join you in Bishkek.
Yeah, I was a little
but we
bit
will do it.
hearing everything. Yeah, I hope we will meeting again in
Yes.
future. Yeah, and
Hi,
yeah,
Liazat.
thank you very much for
Hi.
presentation. Very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
I hope our guests of our webinar give more interesting information and I would like to give us your presentation if is it possible. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I will send it to Saikal and Saikal can
Yeah.
send it to all of you. Yes,
Thank you
gladly.
very much, Irene.
Gladly. Yes,
We have our colleague Lazat is also joining us. Hello.
yes. Hi, Liazat.
Hi, hi.
Good to see you.
Yes.
We were not able to come to Kazakhstan either, but we will do that.
Thank you for seminar presentation. Actually very good.
Thank
Saikal,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I see that we have like my students coming. They are
Okay.
very young, and I have just like one question for you.
Mhm.
You were talking about this demographics, right? It's one of the changing pattern. And what would you suggest the skills for that? For example,
You
generation.
said systemic, the systemic approach? What
No, oh,
what?
sorry. In the participants list, I have some students. They are very young. So, like, what would you suggest, like, skills for them to learn for their future?
Okay, the framework I mentioned at the end, I think that that's what I'm teaching to my students. I think that holistic, integrative thinking, that's a must. So when they approach a problem, they don't find only one solution or either alternatives. They try and think out of the box and identify all different factors that may influence this problem. I can give you an example. I mean, 2 years ago, I took my HR master students to PepsiCo here in Greece. But at that point, the HR manager for Central Europe was a Greek. And she was in Greece at that time. And I know her very well. And she presented to us their 5-year plan for Central Europe. And she said that for their recruitment HR system, they had predictions of the terrorist attacks that may happen in different parts of Europe. So you see that when I'm creating a system, it's not that I'm saying, okay, what is the job or what are the skills to find the right person for the right job? But I need to see, as I said, what are the skills, the talented people in the region? What are the factors that may prohibit us to find the right persons? So there are factors that we may not understand now, but we may estimate the risk, let's say. So they must understand that they must include a more holistic approach. So this is one thing. Actually, this framework I gave you, I think is really important. Resilience. They must understand we must be resilient. This is a hot topic in training. We must be flexible, agile, and to do that, we must we incorporate very much in our training. It's not, we do not only train people to have the knowledge, have the facts, or have the skills, but there is a lot of discussion about emotions, emotional intelligence and stuff like that. We also need to teach people how to listen to their bodies. Body is an excellent tool. Through our bodies, we can relate to the others, we relate to the environment. Through our bodies, we become more resilient. Actually, you know, I have my students, we discuss these things, and we have some activities, and we go outdoor. Actually, I take them to our ancient marketplace, you know, and I have them close their eyes, and I have them wearing ear cupping so that they don't have, they don't see and they don't hear, so that they develop other senses. And you will hear the most amazing things. They can identify the place, because I heard several students saying, you know, I know that I was here before. I could sense without seeing and without hearing. Without hearing, I can hear more my inner voice. So in order to become more resilient, we need to open our perspectives, because all these things are interconnected. So we need to open up our perspectives, and we need to deepen into ourselves. So there are many skills, but I think they must start their self-awareness, see where they stand, what are their strengths, need to then go on and see how they can develop other senses, how they can realize their emotions, and then all the factual, or the knowledge, or all the cognitive, let's say, elements. These are the easy stuff.
Thank you very much. It was actually, like, each time I think we are learning a lot of new interesting stuff from you.
Thank you.
Happy, I don't know, to get a lot of tips and, I don't know, sources for improving ourselves. I would like to say, like, we are very grateful for your support.
I'm grateful too.
For a very interesting lecture. I think it was very easy to our students understand, also to get the idea, and also maybe some yes, our students is right to thank you. So maybe also some, like, pushing for them to learn and get new.
Thank you, Saltanat, and I hope to see you.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Irene. Yes,
thank you.
See
thank
you.
You.
Yeah, next time.
Hi.
Hope we will. Yeah, bye.
We will meet
thank
again,
you very much.
physically.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I hope very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you so much.
Yes, I hope that soon we will launch our master program, and we will invite you as a guest lecturer to our new master students in HRM, and you will be very great assets for us. Thank you very much.
I will be happy. I will be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you, Ren.
Nice to see you all. Bye.
Bye.